Let's talk about whatever. Today I got. Yo, what am I gonna call you? Who are you?
I'm a lot of people, a lot of things, but most importantly, I'm a Rose player, and Street Fighter 4 is a better game. But you
Oh
can call
man.
me Kudja.
All right, so we're here with Kudja. I don't even have any topics in particular that I want to talk about with you, so we're just gonna go off the top. Um, Street Fighter 4, yeah, it is a better game. I'll admit it now. I used to hate Street Fighter 4, and after playing through season 2 of Street Fighter 5, I kind of miss Street Fighter 4, and I've been finding myself playing that game randomly from time to time, like just finding anybody that's willing to play it with me on Steam.
Yeah,
Yeah, and actually like taking stuff that I learned from Street Fighter 5 and like actual, because I didn't learn fighting games until I played Street Fighter 5. Like truly learn fighting games and what they're about, and like learn the real game. And now I find Street Fighter 4 a whole lot more enjoyable now that I actually know the game, or I should say
I
fighting
mean,
games in general.
Street Fighter 5, I can say helped me play a lot of other games. Like, if not for Street Fighter 5, I don't think I would have known how. I don't think I would have had in my mind at the time the ability to bounce around games the way that I do now. Now I can play a bunch of stuff, but I can't tell sometimes if it's because Street Fighter 5 forced me to be a little bit more fluid of a player or if it forced me to go play other games. Who knows?
I think it's a
Well,
bit of both. At least it is for me. Um, yeah, I because I never even played anime games until I started playing Street Fighter 5. Like actually seriously playing anime games, and I really find myself liking Blaze Blue. I know that you dabble every now and then into other games, like you play KOF for a little bit. You'll try stuff, but what about on the anime front? Because I haven't seen you talk about anime games at
uh,
all.
I don't talk about anime games very often because my knowledge of anime games is usually pretty limited. Because for whatever reason, I have trouble uh, committing to memory all of the system mechanics and the smaller things in an anime game. Like for Guilty Gear, for instance, I know that moves have certain like attack levels or whatever, but it's been 2.5 years and I still don't understand it. So, well, I play them. I just don't talk about it very often, because I don't see myself ever being anything more than casual in an anime game. But the few anime games that I did play quite a bit, I played the first version of Blaze Blue, the very first one that came out.
Hmm.
Um, After that, I played some Arcana Heart with Dogi, and I really, really enjoy Arcana Heart. We actually play that occasionally. Dogi still plays it all the time, but as a group, we might play it once or twice a year. But there was a time where we were playing it every Friday, and we were super into it. What else? We played Persona. I wanted to play Mitsuru, but again, I was confused by all the mechanics and cancels and all that. Not that it was hard, I was just confused by it. And then it had like universal two button DPs or whatever, two button
Yeah.
invulnerable reversals, or what I assume they're all. I assume they're all invulnerable, but that was weird to me too. And I don't know, that game was just way too much. And after that, we tried Melty Blood. I freaking love Melty Blood. I don't know anything about the
Yes.
game. Like the mechanics, I don't know. But those combos, I can do those all day.
Yeah, we gotta play that then. Melty Blood's my favorite. Like that's what got me interested in anime games. I randomly started playing Melty Blood and it opened my eyes to go, hey, this shit's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so I started getting into it. But you're right about the mechanics. Like you can have a move and this move only has upper body invincibility. But then if you activate super meter button number 10, it gives you full body invincibility.
Yeah.
And super meter number 10 only lasts for 5 seconds unless you shield it with extra super meter activation or whatever. Like it gets crazy as hell.
Yeah.
And it is a little hard to keep up with. So I
Yeah. So I just don't try, when it comes to anime games. When I say I don't try, I don't mean I don't care. But I feel like with those games, you just have to play based on feeling. especially for Guilty Gear, if you don't know the game like the back of your hand,
Mm.
there's no point in trying to approach the game as if you did. Like you're never going to be able to do like in Street Fighter where you can go to training mode and just learn everything you need to know about a matchup just just on training mode hours alone. You can't do that in multiplayer, and you can't do that in Guilty Gear. So to win and to be good at those games, I feel like you just got to go play them. Don't worry so much about the system mechanics. You'll learn those over time because you'll have to, and it'll come naturally. But if you try to learn it all at the same time, you'll just quit playing.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me with Under Night. I tried to play Yuzuriha, and although I could handle Yuzuriha, I couldn't understand a lot of the system mechanics. So I was playing a hard character, and I didn't understand mechanics. So it was just a nightmare.
I absolutely hate that game.
Really?
That's the one anime game that I do not like. I can't. It's not fun to me. I understand the game, but it's just not fun to me,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. But I never enjoyed it.
Mm,
Um, you mentioned playing it with the group, playing games with the group. I assume you're talking about the Ojo.
yeah. The Ojo. That's the only people
What's
I
the
play games with.
Ojo? Explain that.
Uh, Fuck if I know, dude. I mean, like it's just us. It was supposed to be the dojo. Our name is a typo, so I don't really know what to tell you.
Wow. So how did the Ojo come about?
Uh, you want the whole story, like the whole origin story, or the?
Just spill it, man. Just
All right,
go.
I'll give you the whole origin story. So back in the day, before even the release of Street Fighter 4, um, maybe 2007, I was playing. Maybe 2008, not 2007. It might have been late 2007, but I was playing Soul Calibur at the time, Soul Calibur 4. And I didn't really know anything about tournaments. Really, I had no clue about a tournament scene. I was just playing online. It was really the first online fighter at the time that I had ever played. Because, I was still kind of young.
Mhm.
So online for me was a brand new concept that was just being made available with the Xbox and the PS3. Because in PS2, you had to have that stupid little back piece or whatever and the Ethernet cable, and then you had to have the disc, and it was just too damn complicated, right?
Yeah, that attachment.
Yeah, it was way too complicated. Um, so you didn't play online back then. Nobody did. But when the Xbox came out, online was easily accessible. So I grabbed Soul Calibur because it was brand new at the time. And Soul Calibur had online, so me and my friend Chris, we just every day after we got home from school, we just slap on the PlayStation and sit and play online. Uh, I found Setsuka, my favorite fighting game character ever, and I played online a lot and got addicted to it. Um, Ended up being pretty high rank, and I met some guys from a place called 8-Way Run. Now, I don't know if that website is still running or what, but at the time, it was pretty much just the Soul Calibur hub that all the Soul Calibur heads met up. It's like Soul Calibur's SRK. And I was introduced to it from some guys online. And through 8-Way Run, a guy named Dogi Savage messaged me. Now, I was like 15 maybe, I think. 15 or 16 at the time. So I couldn't really get up and go to his house, my mom wouldn't let me. And I couldn't let him come to my house because my mom didn't know him and I didn't know him. He was just some dude on the internet, and that was still back in the day where meeting someone on the internet was unheard of for any reason.
Yeah.
um, but maybe a year went. I answered him. He told me about his friend. I think I can't remember his friend's name. It might be Shinryatsu, but he introduced me to that guy. Wait, what's not the story? Oh, you're talking about with Nikki. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I forgot. My girlfriend at the time also didn't want me to go play Soul Calibur with Dogi, so she wouldn't let me go. And, and so I just said okay, and I went with it.
Yo, the red card, he called you out and you just had the red card.
I forget that I dated Nikki sometimes, but
Damn. For Nikki.
no, it's not like that. Anyway, so Dogi messaged me and he introduced me to his friend, kinda not like directly, but talked about him and said that he and his friend play a little bit. And he kind of invited me not over to his house specifically, I don't remember. Um, uh, but he invited me somewhere to play. Right, I can't remember where. It might have been online or something, but I doubt it. Anyway, so a year or so went by after that message, and I just kind of half responded to him. And then I met him somewhere. I actually physically met him by accident at a place called, it might have been Legendary. I don't know. I might have met him before Legendary. I can't remember. But there was a gaming place called Legendary, and it had like the consoles and whatnot, and card games and board games and all that. And Dogi knew and was friends with the owner at the time, and so he was just there chilling. And then I came in, and then that's how we met. That's how we actually met. Um, After that, Dogi and I started training together and just practicing. And he started inviting me to his house, and Street Fighter 4 came out. And then he took me to, no, my mom took me to my first tournament. She took me to something regional, some kind of Southeast regional for Soul Calibur 4, right as Street Fighter 4 came out, like the week of Street Fighter 4. And I went, played in my first tournament. I went 1-2, and I had this really good money match with a guy named Sword Lord. And then I came home, and I was just bitten by the tournament bug, basically, for the rest of my life. And I wanted to know how to be able to win. And Dogi told me that his friend was pretty good and that they played, and so I asked him if I could come play with him. I don't. It's kind of foggy. Yeah, praise the Lord. It's kind of foggy at this point, but I feel like we did most of our practicing together inside of Legendary, just playing me and him a lot, like 9 hours a day, and then go home, and then we'd meet up like the next day and do the same thing all week long. Unless he had to go to work or something. So I played with Dogi for a long time, like uh, maybe a year or two. And he started inviting me to his house. A friendship progressed or whatever. And eventually, we met. He and I met Black Star. Um, I don't remember exactly why we didn't hang out with Black Star from the start, but we met him through Soul Calibur because he came to a tournament or something like that I was hosting. Him and his buddy Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, you're not gonna get blown up. But he and his buddy Black Star and his buddy Paul might have come to one of the tournaments that I hosted at the time, and that's probably how I met him. It's really fuzzy how I met Black Star at this point, but I do know that it was involved. It involved Soul Calibur. But he and his friend had their own YouTube page going at the time, and uh, so they had their own thing going. I had my own thing going with Dogi, and we were just two separate groups in one Robins playing different games, right? Uh, then after some time, Street Fighter 4's life progressed on into Super Street Fighter 4, and then Soul Calibur 5 came out. And when Soul Calibur 5 came out, I decided I wanted to get back into the Soul Calibur community and try to take it in the tournaments. And I knew that we had at least 3 people who played Soul Calibur in the city, and Black Star was one of them. So the week, or the first week or the second week that Soul Calibur 5 came out, we went to Black Star's mom's house, and it was me, Dogi, Paul, and Black Star all sitting on his couch just messing around playing like Piran mirror matches and Alpha Patrol clothes, just messing around with the game as it was new. And that just continued from not necessarily every week or anything, but that's how we got introduced to Black Star in a real way and started playing games with him. So now it's me, Dogi, and Black Star. Well, um, my girlfriend and I, we move out of our parents' house and get our own place. We're probably like 18 or 19 now. And I start inviting everybody over to my house to play games. And initially it was just Dogi, and he'd come over and we'd play together as usual. And then Black Star would find his way over every now and then. The problem then was he didn't play anything that we played, so he didn't really see a point in coming. Uh, but Black Star would make his way around, and then Kevin. Do you know Kevin? Do you know Liquigen?
No.
Okay, yeah, he's before your time. Liquigen, my friend Kevin, he came around right as Hakan was put into the game because he really enjoyed Hakan. He was probably 14 when he met me, and I was 18. He met me on SRK through the forums, just like Dogi did. and he asked if he could come over. I invited him, and we found out that I thought he lived like maybe in Atlanta, but it turns out he lived in within the city, within 10 miles of me. So I just said, have your mom drop you off or whatever, and I'll meet your parents, and they can meet me, and we can play games. It'll be all cool. We don't do drugs or smoke or drink or nothing over here. It's all about games. So that's how Kevin started hanging out. And after the first time Kevin hung out with us, he basically showed up every Friday for the rest of the next 4 years, right? So Kevin was easy. Um, when Kevin came, or no, let me backtrack. Let me pause because now I'm fuzzy again.
Oh boy.
uh, okay, I remember. So after Kevin started hanging out with us, we met Lethal again through the forums. Uh, and Lethal at the time actually wanted to play Alpha Street Fighter. Or he so Alpha 2. Um, and he was a Chun player and a Relento player, but mostly a Relento player.
Were you
And
playing the old games at this point? Because you mentioned like just mostly Soul Calibur. Were you?
yeah, at this point in time, I had stopped playing Soul Calibur completely because I didn't like Soul Calibur 5 anymore, and Soul Calibur 4 was dead. So I had the ability to put all my time and focus into Street Fighter, and also Street Fighter had a bigger community, so my attention basically completely shifted to Street Fighter.
Okay.
And I had this concept that the only way for me to be good, and by good I mean beat Dogi, because I could not for the life of me beat Dogi at all at the time. Um, the only way for me to be able to beat Dogi was to dig into Street Fighter, not just 4, but to learn the whole world of Street Fighter from watching old videos, finding out who all the legendary players were, because I knew of Justin Wong and Daigo, but my brain told me there had to be more.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, how would they be so popular if not going through other strong players? And I found B5, the pre-Evo years,
Yeah.
and I've watched all the tapes, and then I got even deeper into like the early '90s with Tomo Ohira, and I started watching all of his matches and watching Baez matches and just everything from the past, from Street Fighter 2 up through Alpha, up through the Street Fighter 3 stuff, on back into Street Fighter 4, which is where I started playing again. So by the time I met Lethal, I actually had a pretty solid understanding of Street Fighter in general. I might not have been good at the game, but I understood it. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So that's why Lethal came. He wanted to play Alpha. Um, we played some Alpha with Lethal, and then he just kind of lost interest, maybe. But he started playing Street Fighter 4. Uh, I can't remember why. I think it might. Yeah, okay. I think he's wanted to play Street Fighter 4 because Dudley got put in the game. In Super. Was it Super?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dudley got put into the game, and that made Lethal want to play Street Fighter 4. So now we have myself, Dogi is still playing Street Fighter at the time, Kevin, and Lethal. That was the. Uh, and Blackstar. So those were the original 5 members of the Ojo, right? What happened with Blackstar, how he came back into the picture permanently, is Marvel came out and he wanted to play Spider-Man. So he came and started coming every Friday so that he could practice Marvel because he wanted to play like Spider-Man, Wolverine, and somebody else, and that's just what he wanted to do. So that's how the 5 pillars of the Ojo, as Dogi calls it, started. Myself, Dogi, Kevin, Lethal, and Blackstar.
So
And
the physical dojo was your house at this time?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, actually, before we had my house, actually, no, it's after we had my house. After the house, we didn't actually call ourselves the Ojo until I lost my house. Because I moved to Albuquerque because my mom wanted me to come live with her because she said that there was money and stuff out there. We got out there, and as soon as I got there, she got laid off from the job that she was at. And the whole area went to crap. And I had to come back to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, I didn't have a home, so I had to live with my grandmother. And me and my girlfriend went, she went to her mom's, I went to my grandma's, and we were going to try to meet back in the middle somewhere, but that didn't happen. After that, my grandmother owned a church in the city, and every Friday night, she would give me the keys to the church, and I would open the doors to the church, and we'd all go play games in the back. And we had a whiteboard with some markers, And I grabbed the whiteboard and I said the dojo, right?
Uh,
But my D was written kind of more like a circle, and Dogi said it's the Ojo, jokingly. And like all stupid black people nicknames, it never went away.
I'm
That's how we became. Yeah, Dogi just posted the picture in the chat. That's how we became the Ojo. So, and we all
awesome.
drew.
I'm gonna
We.
post this and show. Wow, yo, we got a piece of history right here. I'm gonna show this on the screen. So, while I'm doing that, you mentioned the church.
Yeah.
That's around the time when I started getting into fighting games and started like finding out the places around me and all that stuff. And I kept hearing about, hey, you should go to Warner Robins area or whatever. They play at the church. Go visit the church.
Uh-huh.
Man, you need to go play at the church. Get good. Go to the church. I kept hearing that over and over and over. So I never knew that the church was tied directly to the Ojo. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I didn't know that it was called the church by other people, but
Yeah,
that's
like
what we did.
and I would like ask like, what's the name of this church or whatever. Like all I knew was the church. Like people couldn't
Was
even tell me the
my
name of
stank
it.
ass Ryu? Excuse me, sir. Well, that's a pretty decent Ryu. That was Ryu in his Hakama, the big pants that they gave him. And you said it was Sakura. Dogi insists that I drew a Sakura, but that is clearly a Ryu. And
So
I also drew a. Huh?
yeah, I was about to say I'm not sure if you guys can clearly see that. Is that picture? Do I need to zoom that picture in, or is it
Yeah,
good?
it probably needs to be a little bigger. It's kind of small.
Okay.
On my screen, it is.
There we go, guys. There's the picture from where the Ojo came from, I guess. Oh, is that supposed to be? Wait, where's Ryu at? I don't see Ryu. Like that's how
It's
bad.
right under.
That's how bad it is. Like I don't even see Ryu.
It's right underneath Dojo.
Yeah, I
That's
see it,
Ryu.
but that ain't
Hakama
Ryu.
paint.
Nah, Hakan is sick. Who did the Hakan?
Black Star drew the Hakan. Black Star drew the Hakan.
Thank you, Black.
I drew the Magneto next to him, and the Sakura and the Hakan up in the top right, and then Black Star said I sucked, and he drew Hakan in the bottom right corner.
Wow, interesting.
But that picture is quite literally the birth of the Ojo. So that's the answer of your question.
Awesome. And it does look like it. That's not a D, dude. Your handwriting sucks. That's totally an O. Damn. Alright, so there we got the origin story of the Ojo. We talked about that. I know you're kind of pressed for time. I'm gonna get into something off gaming related that I'm really interested in. I asked I asked you who are you earlier, and you kind of gave a brief description. Now I'm gonna ask you what are you, as far as gender and all of that, because I always say he when it comes to referring to you. What's your status?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm transgender, but as far as like the gender names and whatever, I'm not picky. I don't really care. I'm not. It's not that serious to me. It's. I say what I am. Everybody knows what I am. Everybody knows what I'm all about. So I basically, if you call me a friend, I'm not gonna begrudge you the small things like he or she, because personally, and it's not for everybody, obviously, and I'm considered weird, but personally for me, I don't. It's not a concern of mine. I'm here. I play games, so that's why a lot of people are confused because I just don't. That's not in front of me. It's kind of like just something that is ambient about me that people you never talk about it. Are you not open? But I'm pretty open. It's just how often is it ever relevant? And, it's not obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like you just walk in the door and say it. Like, who cares, right?
You just walk in the door. Hey,
Yeah, like I like to wear dresses. Like everybody say, okay, cool. Nobody really gives that. Nobody cares.
So
But
I've always wanted to know that because I know that you're transgender, but I never actually heard you say anything about it, which is cool because I like the way you think about it. It's like, hey, whatever. It's not something that I should talk
Yeah,
about
I don't know.
everybody. So, but I've always wondered, like, how does Kudja want to be addressed or whatever? Because I always say he and
Well,
all that, and I
I prefer she, but again, it's not a big deal to me.
now let's
I let people do what's comfortable for them in the moment.
let's
As long as it's understood between me and the person that like it's just comfort and respect mutually, it's not really a concern.
okay, let's add that into back into the gaming talk.
Okay.
What's your experience with the with the gaming community? Because like the fighting game community has like all these stereotypes of being like
Oh, yeah, okay, I
bad
know.
and not inclusive and all of that or whatever. What's your
Um,
experience?
okay, well, actually, give me just like 1 second. I have to get something.
All right.
Hold on.
Yo, he's breaking out the statement. He's gonna make the Obama speech. Yo. Wow. Okay. So, if you guys hear a noise, that's the elliptical machine being used right now. So, excuse the noise, and I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm back. I had to get my headphones. I just got into a League of Legends match to blast your speakers out. Okay, so were you asking me what now?
Um, what's your experience in the fighting game community as far as like acceptance and all that? Because people are always fussing about people not being welcoming.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think in the fighting game community, it's less about uh, who's saying what and who's being mean, and more about like where are we talking about? And I know that's a weird way to say it, but it's like where is it being said? Right? It's being said on the internet.
Yeah.
Now I see it all over the internet. You can't go to a Guilty or Kaio Police or anything video without seeing it everywhere. And there's so many trans players now that it's kind of hard to run from. But then you go to a tournament. And have you ever seen anyone be disrespectful to Ricky Ortiz ever for any reason?
No, but Ricky Ortiz kind of has status, like as a top player. There's the
Yeah, no. Yeah, I get that, but have you ever seen anybody like seriously be disrespectful to Guilty though?
No, never. Not really.
Right. So it happens.
I say Guilty be seriously disrespectful to other people.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is that yeah, it's there, but it's on the internet. In person, as long as you're winning and you can, how can I say it? Let me say it this way. I think genetic cisgender girls get it a lot worse. I'll say it that way.
Okay.
Because for trans people, and it's a weird double standard, the guys in the community still kind of treat trans people like one of the dudes. They always do. That's why Guilty just when Guilty plays well, everybody says, "Oh, Guilty is good. Guilty is a good Dawson," but she might do the same thing somebody else is doing. But because she's Guilty and because she's transgender, it's like, oh, that's just expected. She's a good Dalsum, but no big deal. She doesn't really get a lot of credit for it. But let's say a female were to play Dalsum the exact same way that Guilty does, a genetic female. They would be called so amazing. Just absolutely. They do a 2-piece combo, and oh my god, the skill, right?
Yeah.
So,
Evo 37, even though it's crouching medium kick in the fireball.
Yeah, just oh my god, the technical skill of these two female Street Fighter players. So there is the idea that being trans gets you treated, I could honestly say, with a little bit more respect than being treated than a female. A little bit, Then you get into situations like Pink Diamond, and I hope I'm not outing anybody, but it's not a big secret. But with Pink Diamond, who's a trans KI player, she had her pictures leaked, like nude pictures or whatever, because of our Kappa, because of something that she's
never knew about that. I know who Pete Diamond is and all that.
Yeah,
but
she had nude pictures leaked by people on our Kappa, and that was simply because somebody said something to her and she kind of stood up for herself. So I can't say that it's not in the FGC, but it's not what like Kotaku would say, like, oh, there's so much misogyny and trans misogyny and all these,
Yeah.
key trigger words and whatnot. It's there, but it's no more prevalent for trans people than it is for anyone else other than females. Because females get it the worst, way the worst. Because they get judged on if they're pretty and how pretty are they. That's the only reason a lot of people even gave Kayane the time of day in a lot of situations. They'd be like, oh, she's so pretty. Never mind the fact that she's got like a Soul Calibur.
Hey, don't you talk about Kiana. She could be bad at Soul Calibur. I don't care. Speaking of which, where is the Soul Calibur scene? Like, is it just dead, buried in the ground?
That game is dead. Soul Calibur 5 killed that game. Absolutely murdered it. And it's not so much that the game is the worst ever. It's pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. It's pretty bad. And I can go into that if you want. But the problem with the game was that they weren't willing to put as much effort into it as it probably deserved. Right? Because it was coming out at almost the same timeline as Tekken Tag Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So they were given half of the time that they were originally told to make the game, to finish the game. Meaning, if they got a year to make the game, they were only allowed 6 months of it to make and complete the game. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they had to focus all their attention on Tekken Tag, or at least that's the bit of the story that I personally know. So, when the game came out, it had big glitches in it, really big glitches. Like in a Super Freeze, if you were able to input movement in a certain way, you'd just be on the other side of the screen by the time the Super Freeze ended. Like your character wouldn't actually visibly move, but you would be gone. You just wouldn't be there. You might be completely on the other side of them by the time the Super Freeze ends. Yeah, and that was a big deal. Outside of that, they kind of fixed that, but I can't remember which patch it was, but you were able to be counter hit for sidestepping. That's a big deal in Soul Calibur. Like a huge deal in Soul Calibur.
Kind of like the equivalent of like bat dashing in Street Fighter getting counter hit out of bat dash.
Well, yes, but also yes, but no. I can't really say that's what it is. Let me think. How can I put it? Do you know anything about VF?
A little bit.
Its movement or any of its like mechanics?
Some lessons from Black Star, but Black Star really didn't teach movement. So I don't.
No, Black Star teaches mechanics. Anyway, so let me use a different example.
Black Star says it's like getting counter hit for walking in Street Fighter.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because Soul Calibur is about movement. Like you're in each other's face and you're just poking, right? It's not like Tekken where it's very string heavy. So in Tekken, your movement isn't necessarily so important because moving in Tekken, rightfully so, will get you hurt sometimes. But in Soul Calibur, it's just poke oriented. Either you're going to do a horizontal or you're going to do some kind of vertical, right? And if you're doing a vertical, I should be able to step. Now that in itself is a big problem. Even Black Star will tell you because Namco collision on normals can be kind of wonky. But the problem is that you try to step to avoid something in a string or try to avoid a BB or something, you get clipped and you get counter hit, and the counter hit leads to just massive damage. Just huge damage output for something that you basically have to do versus some characters. People hated that. I won't say that was my biggest issue because I don't think I was good enough at the time for that to matter to me, but people hated it.
So did they never remove it?
I can't remember if they... It's still there, I'll tell you that much. It's still there, but I feel like they fixed it and then put it back at some point, honestly. But it's been quite a long time, so I can't say for sure. But people hated that. Another problem with Soul Calibur 5 is you take fall damage, which isn't uncommon, but it can be a big deal. And you also take throw damage for breaking throws. That's really something. That's something Dogi hates a lot. The fact that you can die for actually breaking a throw.
Yeah. That's kind of. Do they do that? Do they in the game? Do they do the throw break animation? Then your character just falls.
Hold on, your mic is going kind of crazy.
Can you hear me now?
I can, but it was fuzzy. It's still kind of fuzzy. I don't know if you're strengthening it or not. It might be just me.
Oh, it's probably Discord then.
Do you want to start over?
Let me. Can you, what about now?
No, it's really bad.
Yeah, it's probably Discord because it sounds clear. I can hear myself in my ear and it sounds clear. It's
Yeah.
probably Discord.
Do you
Just
want
keep,
to just start the call over or
just,
what?
just go ahead and keep talking. We can hear you.
Okay. Well, the problem is I couldn't hear you. I don't know what I'm.
Yeah, we're having issues now because you went out. I'll give you a call back.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Give me a second. I'm gonna call Kudja back real quick. Yo, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's still kind of fuzzy.
Oh, great, because you went out too, so I'm guessing it's an issue with Discord and the internet.
Yeah.
The question that I was asking is, like if you do the throw break, does it show them doing the throw break animation and then the character just falls when they die?
Yeah. So what happens is, let's say you have low health and somebody has a health lead on you. And they basically what happens is they block everything you do, and I can't say it was the go-to strategy, but it's just something that can happen theoretically because of this mechanic. But they have a health lead on you, right? And now they start throwing you. You break the throws, but you take 10, 15 damage or whatever it is just for teching the throw, which means that I can just keep throwing you at this point because you will die to the throw damage on breaking it eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would think, well, you can just duck the throw and maybe duck and punish, but that becomes a problem because you're ducking in a Soul Calibur game. That's basically asking to die really fast. So you can't break the throw. You logically can't duck it. So what do you do other than lose and die?
Yeah, that sounds bad.
It was, and people were just, when I tell you people were unhappy, I mean they were extremely unhappy with it, and that never changed. Another big problem is it had a Street Fighter V syndrome in a time where that couldn't happen, in a time where DLC and stuff was still pretty unacceptable for a lot of players.
Yeah.
Street Fighter V syndrome was basically, they had these one-player modes or whatever, but they were like half stories. They didn't have any animated scenes, or at least only a couple. It was really short. The story kind of didn't make any sense. It had all these like random situations where characters that don't really have any reason to be talking to each other or cooperating with one another or just like best friends. It was really weird.
They just threw it together.
Yeah, it was really quickly done, and it was for the reason that I told you. They really didn't have time. But the community they were mad about it, but just like any community, you just kind of say, okay, well, it'll be better eventually. But they said they would give us a patch, they'd give us this and that over some time, and we just had to be patient. But the patch never came. They said, the patch just never came. And when I say never came, I mean that within maybe 2 years, maybe 3. Like if I say 3, it's pushing it 3. They stopped supporting the game and talking about the game completely. I mean, there was no tournament stuff. There's none of the promised DLC. There's the promised story mode is gone. The balance patch that they said they were going to release to fix the first one they did never came, and the game just stopped existing to Namco. Wow. And because that happened, the community, it's no community, no matter how loyal they are, wants to play a game where the people who made it are gone. Like the creators of the game just aren't there to support it. So that really hurt the community. I think the game could have survived with all of its flaws the same as Soul Calibur 4 did if Namco had done their job of supporting it, but they didn't.
So I haven't been paying attention at all to anything about Soul Calibur. Is there any rumors, any talks?
No, there's nothing.
Of sits?
No, there's nothing.
There's no sits ghosts going around. Nothing.
No.
Wow.
I mean, they've announced they actually released a free to play version of one of the Soul Calibur. It's of Soul Calibur 5, but it was free to play, and it was kind of like Tekken Revolution, where it was Soul Calibur, but it was this really weird like Mugen fighter version of Soul Calibur, and everybody had random power ups, but it was also very DLC heavy. Like costumes and swords and music, but it wasn't really a competitive game. There
Was
was
this
no
on
way to make it
console?
competitive. Yeah, it's on console.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else on your mind that you just want to talk about? It could be anything. It don't have to be gaming related. What's up with you? What have you been like up to or thinking about?
Oh, I didn't know that, Black Star. I didn't know that Harada did that at all. What are you talking about? I didn't think like that. Okay, what's on my mind? Nothing.
Yeah.
I've been okay. So the last SCB, I had a big problem. I went 0-2, and that's like the first time I've gone 0-2 in like 8 years. So I was pretty heartbroken. But it was no mystery to me why I went 0-2. I couldn't even say that it was I played really bad and I'm disappointed in myself. I feel like I barely played at all. My brain wasn't there. I got really angry really fast. Like I was fighting Tasif. I don't know if you know who that is, but I had him as my first match, and I just some Nash stuff happened, and I got really tilted really fast, and I got way too angry.
Wait,
And
so you're still playing Nash?
not anymore. Not after today. Not after that day. Like I said to myself that was going to be the last tournament I play with Nash.
Good for you.
But I probably wouldn't have followed through with it if not for the fact that I went 0-2 because of Nash. So after that, because I was still telling myself, I'll play him in casuals, I'll play him when I'm at home. But as of that day, I'm probably never playing him again unless he gets like ridiculously low. Like there's just no point to play him. It's not rewarding at all.
Yeah.
So that day,
I feel like that with a lot of characters in that. Season 2 is garbage. It's like hot garbage. That's my.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about season 2.
Season 2 is a dice roll, man. Daigo can win like the toughest tournament and then go 0-2 to.
Yeah, 0-2 to a random Balrog.
Yeah, he went 0-2 to Gandhi, basically. It's like, damn, what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. The game. What can I say, man? I played Nash.
I feel like I can win Capcom Cup, like with the right circumstances and stuff. I could win.
And you
Capcom.
see that right there is the reason why I haven't just quit playing the game, and it's also the reason why I played Nash for so long. I feel like still that I'm a quite strong Street Fighter player in general, right? I feel like you put any Street Fighter in my hands and I'm going to be good at it. Maybe not the best in the world. I'm probably not going to win any tournaments, but I feel like I can play anybody, I'll sit down at an arcade and just have a good time. Mm-hmm. In Street Fighter 5, I feel like you can't really... How can I say this? In Street Fighter 4, you see a DJ player in your pool. And although you knew in your mind that DJ was not a good character, you also still had to say to yourself, there's a reason why this guy's playing DJ, right?
Yeah.
And the good DJ players, Kita Senju, were ridiculously strong. Even though their characters may not have had high damage or high stun or unblockables or vortex, Kita Senju was still able to be successful. And I mean very successful. I mean against Capri, against Rufus, against Yun and Yang when they were the best characters. He was always really good with DJ. I feel like that's something that Street Fighter V lost. I won't even call Street Fighter V a bad game. I just feel like the game is in a position where the player playing the character that they want to play is irrelevant to the overall point of the game, which is why I said what I said about Manat earlier. So what Manat does is extremely strong. We can all agree there. But is what she's good at important to the game? And the answer is no. What difference does Manat's orb make? And what difference does her long normals and her this and her that make? If first of all, she's not dangerous until she has V-Trigger, which means she's probably already lost half of her health. So she's not dangerous until she has half health and the V-Trigger available. Up to that point, what is she doing other than poking at you, right?
I feel like that's like that with with a lot of characters in Street.
That's my point. That's what I'm saying. You can apply the same thing to Nash. I say Nash is awful all the time, right? But the reason I kept playing him is because I know, looking at Nash and seeing how he functions, it's not entirely true that he is bad. Nash is strong at what Nash does. but what Nash does is not strong in the game, you know?
Yeah.
So what difference does it make if Manat is here to keep you out and zone you and just keep you from being in her face until she gets her V trigger? Because she's supposed to get the V meter for landing counter hits with her stand medium punch, right? With Orb. So she's supposed to use this move, but that move is such a... You get like 30 damage and a third of your V trigger for hitting a counter hit standing medium punch. Now, if this weren't Street Fighter V, that would be amazing. But because it is, you're telling me that I have Balrog walking at me, and I know that he has charge and has been charging it for at least 30 seconds. Because they always are, because they do it at the start of a match.
Yeah.
All of them. You're telling me that to keep him from being in my face, I have to push one of these normals that is slow, has a bad angle, and my orb he's upper body invulnerable, and my orb only hits up there when he does tap. On block, he's +1 or higher, up to like 8. And if he hits me, I basically die because I'm the knot. I have low stun, low health. But you're telling me that I'm supposed to play Manat in a game that's like this and be successful. And unless you really like working hard and unless you really like to struggle, there's not a point to do that in Street Fighter V as of Season 2.
Yeah,
there's just not a point.
What you just described is a really big uphill battle.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Season 1, and I know my character had that, but I didn't give a damn because my character had that. The way you describe tap there is basically Mika with crouching heavy punch in Season 1. Crouching heavy punch backed by V-trigger. That thing was the same way. I could throw that out, and if you block it, it could be -1. It could be
yeah.
It could be neutral. It could be like +1. And then if you get hit by it and I V-trigger, party time.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Now, the difference here is that you actually need V-trigger for that to be as important. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't have V-trigger, dealing with that is just a matter of spacing, right?
Yeah.
But if you do have V-trigger, it's a really big deal because you can still not cancel it. But because I thought you were going to cancel it, you might have been -7, but I didn't push anything. So now I'm command thrown, right?
Yep.
But she needed V-trigger to threaten you with that. Balrog is threatening you with tap from 99 seconds onward. And it's not once a match. It's not because he had the resources. It's not he spent the meter. It's because he has 2 extra fingers to put on 2 extra buttons that he can still operate the rest of his characters with the other 4.
Yeah.
and I mean fully operate, like fully functional Balrog on the other 4 buttons. It's you
dumb.
Can't play.
It's
dumb. You can't play characters like Nash in a game like this. It don't work because Nash's design is I'm supposed to keep you away from me. I'm really good at it, but now I can't. I can't put a normal on you. I can't throw a fireball. I can't jump. I just have to wait for you to do tap and do nothing until then. And if you never throw the tap, you are telling me, and I have no choice but to believe it, that I can't throw a sonic boom, or I can't poke at you in certain places, or I can't even meet you in certain areas because Nash has no like good hitting low meaty. All of his stuff hits mid, and that's getting turn punched on wake up. So it's like uphill battle, bad game. Yeah, I just want them to change it.
What I've been finding myself doing is playing a lot of the old games to try to like, since I finally learned, you know, what I'm supposed to be doing fundamentally, and I've been wanting to do that in Street Fighter V, but I can do it in Street Fighter V, but it sucks and it's not effective or whatever because of V-trigger comebacks and all that stuff or whatever. So I've been playing a lot of the old games or whatever and stuff to just like keep myself sound until Capcom does something or whatever. So
yeah,
that's what I've been doing. And I was thinking like in the future, like we got Marvel. I don't even know if I can apply that shit to Marvel because I never played Marvel, so I don't know if that's gonna be the game I get into, the newer game. And then there's DBZ, which plays more like Guilty Gear and stuff. So I don't know when I'm gonna be able to like actually apply the stuff that I'm finally learning or whatever in a newer game.
Yeah. I don't know. I use other games. actually, like I said earlier, if not for Street Fighter Five, I probably wouldn't be playing other games right now. And I don't mean that in to say that it forced me to play other games. I mean that Street Fighter Five, unlike four, four was everything I expected it to be from the moment I opened the game. The moment I opened Vanilla to the day I closed with Ultra, right? It was everything I expected it to be outside of DiCaprio getting put in the game. Because LOL, that was like the first coming. That was the first warning that Street Fighter Five was going to be bad. When DiCaprio got put in the game and designed, and they actually looked at her design and didn't throw it in the trash can, we should have known something was wrong. But that game, I enjoyed it. I felt rewarded by it. I never felt like it was taking. I'd never felt like it was asking of me more than I was willing to give it, right? And I felt with 5 when it came out that Street Fighter 5 was asking more of me than it was willing to give me in return. Like, I want to play Nash. I'm accepting that Nash is a bad character, just like I did with Rose. I have accepted that this will be hard, but I have the tools available to me to do it. In 5, it's like, I have accepted that this is hard, and I don't have the tools available to me. I either keep playing and keep losing, and then people keep, well, you just got to keep trying, like Bonchan did for a year. He got bodied until he randomly won, you know. But I don't want
everybody was like, "Yo, he see that Bonchan can do it, man. Anybody."
Yeah,
And
but
then
never
like
mind.
Bonchan never did anything else after that.
Yeah.
He just got crushed.
And the other thing is that for Bonchan, he already has the sponsorships and the money, and then they're going to send him to tournaments. For me, who was in Atlanta, playing in this Red Bull qualifier, do I really have the time to waste on throwing matches and tournaments away in the trash can just so I can get better at Nash? Do I have time for that? When Ice Effect is switching, or Ice Effect is playing Laura, and Joel has switched to Akuma, and KB is playing Birdie, and you know, you've seen the leaderboard. I don't care what anybody says. My prediction with Birdie was right. Birdie is broken. Like the top 8 people on the online leaderboard are freaking all Birdie. Like Birdie has that saying, "It's all coming up, Birdie." Yeah, he's right. It is all coming up, Birdie up there. Like, so you can't. For me, I don't have the ability to do what Bonchan did, just to go to all these tournaments and lose with Nash. Like, that's money out of my pocket. It's not a sponsor sending me. So it starts to feel like, if I'm going to play Nash, why even go to tournament? That's why I didn't for a very long time.
So chat says Bonchan switched to Karen. So everybody
he did switch to Karen.
so yeah,
like
you're
after
right.
that last loss,
there's no point of fighting that uphill battle.
No,
like, at all. Except, wait, I'll throw in this exception, and I know you're probably gonna like crap on this, but I'm a character loyalty guy. But I'm not like, my aim isn't to like go to tournaments and win the money, so it don't matter. But yeah, so I would say except for character loyalty. But if you're trying to like win the money and first place it, yeah, screw that character. Don't fight the uphill battle. There's no point.
And I hate that. I really hate that. And I feel like that's Capcom's fault. First of all, the CPT stuff and these points, I don't like the way the point system is done. I didn't like it last year and I don't like it. But without complaining about the point system, I will say that the point system has turned a lot of our communities sour. And that hurts the overall opinion of Street Fighter V even more. That's the thing that a lot of people don't think about. Why are people so angry? You go to the Street Fighter V, they'll be like, all I see is people in here hating on Street Fighter V. Well, the problem is, the game did what money does to a community when it comes in. It becomes about who's winning, how often can you go, what you can afford, how much you're practicing. It becomes this real sport, and that's completely fine. But when it becomes this real sport and our tournaments that we have become ways to get points into the Capcom this and Capcom that, as opposed to you and the dudes from your state having a tournament that you guys do every 2 weeks or so, and it becomes, I have to beat everybody because I have to get the points so that they'll fly me out instead of these guys. It really hurts the overall game on a community to community standpoint.
So how do you feel like right now? Let's take our community. we'll say the Georgia community, but it's really mostly Atlanta. But how do you think like how do you think we're doing as far as like the old school grassroots, let's all get together, play, learn together type thing?
Terribly.
Like, or
Terribly.
so it's all just cutthroat now? Is that what
Yeah, I
you
mean,
say?
you have to understand, this is a game where I don't know how much you know about Joel, but Joel is a diehard Ryu player. You want to talk about a loyalist? Ryu is Joel's man. Like I had a conversation with Joel walking from final round to our hotel one day, and he had a where he told me that Ryu is like his brother to him. You know, it's not just a video game character, and I feel the same way about Nash and Rose. They are game characters, but there's something about me and the character that clicks on this weird, personal, not really personal nerd way, right? And that's just how games are. That's what makes us play them. So for Joel, who feels like Ryu is one of his real brothers, who he really grew up with and was impressed by and made him want to play, for him to be forced off of Ryu, forced, just to be competitive, is disgusting.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's
gotta
really bad.
suck. Yeah. Man. Who's he playing now? I didn't even know he dropped Ryu.
He plays Akuma now because he said himself, it's either I play Akuma or I quit playing the game.
Man.
And that's where he was. And so he stopped playing Ryu. Or he said either I quit playing Ryu or I quit playing the game.
Wow.
And so he switched to Akuma. And I'm sorry, but when your game is making your diehard fans not want to play the characters that they are diehards for, you've done it wrong. You just did the wrong thing.
So if we're not playing Street Fighter Five, are these batch of games that are coming up, are you interested in any of them? For example, Marvel, which is coming out in like 2 weeks,
Say that
or
again. Am I interested in what?
the new games coming out like Marvel or Dragon Ball. Are
Uh,
those on your radar, or are you just like,
Not
oh, whatever,
really.
it's a thing?
Not really. Dragon Ball Z F is not on my radar because I don't really like Dragon Ball Z as an anime much. You know, I watched it. I seen the whole thing, but it just never like fell. I never fell in love with it like everybody else did. So I don't really care about it for that reason. The other reason why I don't care about DBZF is because it's an ArcSys game, which makes it an anime game, which means that it has a lot of mechanics and stuff that I'm not gonna understand, right? So
Yeah.
I just know better than to even bother right now. Um, so no to DBZF. Marvel, uh, I might play it. The thing about Marvel, I'm not a fan of losing to unseeable shit. I'm really not, and that seems to be something you have to just accept in Marvel.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna try it just like I did with Marvel 3. But I can't say for sure how serious I'm going to take it or how much I'm going to try because I also don't see characters that I like. A big part of Marvel 3 for me was Storm and Phoenix. Phoenix is my favorite character from the X-Men universe, period. Right? And then Storm is my second favorite. So having them both in the game, I knew Storm was going to be in, but when I saw Phoenix, that was it. Like I'm playing her. And then I saw Dante and Virgil and I was in it, right? That was my game. I played it a lot in Albuquerque. This is when I moved to New Mexico, and I was going to tournaments for it and stuff. And I didn't click. You know, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but when I got into training mode with it, I had no clue what I was supposed to be doing. And if I can't understand training mode, I just turn the game off, which is why I don't play Injustice very much.
I
That's
was
why I
just
don't
about to
play.
go into Injustice. Like, I really like Injustice. I just haven't played it a bunch or whatever. And I don't mean like on like a competitive level. I just like the mechanics of the game, just like on their own, not when you actually put them to use in competitive play, but just like how the game's designed or whatever. I think is different or whatever, and I'm not even sure how different that is from MK because I didn't play a ton of MK. I played 9 or whatever, but I don't know. I just like the game, and so Injustice is kind of cool to me. I just need to play it more. But I know
Um,
you were playing it right at one point.
yeah, I like Injustice too. I just feel like it's kind of dumb. Like my problem with NRS is never. I actually usually like Mortal Kombat games, right? I own 9 and play the crap out of it. I own MKXL still, and I play I don't play the crap out of it, but I do play it just to practice. But my problem with those games is not the games themselves. I just hate NRS. They they are illogical in how they buff and nerf things, the timing for it, what they do. Like I feel like NRS develops their characters completely separate of one another, with no concern for how they interact with each other at all.
And then that's exactly what I mean about I like how the game plays and I like the game. But once you put that together in a competitive aspect, and I play my character against your character competitively, it's like, why?
Yeah, and for because I play Joker, and before Joker I play Scarecrow, right? So obviously I'm not playing the best characters in the game. But for Joker to fight Bane, and I fight a lot of Banes, he does that big like he charges up and runs at you, and
Yeah,
crashes into you.
yeah,
Everybody tells me that's punishable, but Joker can't punish it, right? So it's like, so I'm fighting Bane, and I see this dumb Bane player just doing it over and over and over, and it's like, okay, well, they say, okay, well, you got to jump over it since you can't punish it. Cool, I jump over it, but he's on the other side of the screen. I'm still Joker. It's not like I'm Aquaman or something. He's just gonna do it again,
yeah,
you know. And he has armor while he's doing it, so it's not like I can shoot at him to stop him. So I'm just getting shoulder leaned and homie over hose chest bumped to death, and there's nothing I can do about it. And to me, that's like, what do you want from me, NRS? Like,
yeah. I
how
feel
am I
the same
supposed to
way.
outplay
It's
this?
just like some matchups are just like, what is this, and why am I going through this in this matchup? It's kind of crazy, but I like what they aimed for. It's just in practice, it's wonky as hell. Trying to think, are there any other games, notable games out right now? I think that's Tekken. Are you playing Tekken?
Yeah, I play Tekken a lot. I was in the tournament at SCB,
Oh,
not last weekend, but the last one I entered. I like Tekken. I feel like Tekken is a lot it's a lot of the same. Like you can't go from Street Fighter to Tekken because you want to get away from Vortex, which is the original reason for why I wanted to play Tekken. I just wanted to play something that was more free and something I could get off my ass and fight back. And just to find that it's basically the same thing. You get knocked down and now you're guessing between launcher or low or launcher or load that launches, and
yeah.
so for me, my Tekken growth was kind of stunted. Right, it is kind of stunted because I'm at a point in the game where I feel like there's nothing I can do to get better except go play and get beat up a lot. It's not something you can training mode. Not me. A low level player can never training mode the ability to see a low coming. You just can't do it.
You just
So,
gotta get in there and play.
what'd you say?
I say you just gotta get in there and play.
Yeah, you just got to get in there and play until you get used to the setups and seeing the animations. And because of that, I was doing a lot of tech and training mode. But because I noticed what the game was and I started to understand it, I stopped training moding and I just started playing people. So right now I'm in the phase where I'm not talking about the game. I'm not really looking at frame data or anything anymore. I'm just kind of, I learned a combo, I learned some strategies. Now let's just get in your face and push buttons until I either die or you die. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But I enjoy it. I played um, Poach Out and got beat up. I played Shola and got beat up. I played Iceman and got beat up. Uh, yeah, I've been doing a lot of losing in Tekken. So that's my Tekken experience.
Flat Star says, remember you need 2 years of practice before you can enjoy Tekken.
Mm-hmm. I thought I could get away with it, man. I thought my 3D was good enough to handle Tekken, but it's not. I'm a Soul Calibur player, so I guess I never played 3D to begin with.
Real 3D. All right, we've been talking for about an hour. I think it's wrap up time. You got any like shout outs or social media stuff you want to get off or whatever?
Uh, uh, Shout outs, huh?
If no, then that's fine. I don't shout
I
out.
mean, I want to think of one though. I never get the chance to give a shout out, so now I want to give one. Uh, Hold on, I got this. Hold on, I got one. Okay, I got one. Shout out to Black Star Shout out to Blackstar GA for holding true to not letting me in his house until I give him the money that I owe him for the last 2 months.
Wow, what kind of
I
friend are
thought
you,
I
man?
thought he was joking, but he's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Blackstar. Be a man of your word. Like even if it's your friend and you care for your friend, yo, show him that you ain't playing at all or whatever. I like that. I respect that. So like, did you show up and he was like, "Nah, bro, you you can't come over." Like, how did he shut you down?
He just told me. He told me he
Wow.
wouldn't let me in if I. Right.
Dang, that's a real friend, man. Keeping it real. All right, that's gonna be a wrap, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm gonna upload the podcast to YouTube. I got some more ideas, so the third podcast is gonna be pretty much the same, but some more things added in. I'm probably gonna like request like a song that like the person has on their mind or something, like a recommended song and stuff like that. So who knows? Kudja, you got one? Is there a song you was like, hey, yo, y'all check this
A
out?
song?
Yeah. If you got one, if you don't, oh well.
Well, you want me to just link it or something?
Well, just tell me what it is, and I'll add it to the description.
Hold on, I gotta look up the title. It's a new song.
Yo,
I never.
this man recommending a song he don't even know what it is. Must be a sick song.
Probably not. Okay. I'm gonna do this one. I'm just gonna put it because it's got a long title. I'm just put it in the Discord thing. You can do what you want with it.
All right, so guys, his song is in the description. Check it out or whatever. Yeah, I have nothing else to pass on. It's been real. It's been fun. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Guys, I'm gonna try to do one either later today or tomorrow. My next guest that I wanna have, we're having technical problems. He's not like a computer guy or whatever, but I'm gonna try to get the guy that I came up in the wrestling business with, Johnny Romano, who's worked with just about anybody you could think of in wrestling that was a star in like the Attitude Era and like the '90s era. He's pretty much worked with him, and he's like been doing this for like 12 years. I'm gonna try to get him on the podcast, and we're gonna talk a shit ton of wrestling and just other stuff in general. So be on the lookout for that if I could get him in there or whatever. Until then, peace. Be tough.
See ya.